Over the last few weeks and months, I've done some videos around the worst characters in certain franchises. But today, I wanted to actually do my favourite characters in The Walking Dead. Now, there could be some spoilers here, so do proceed with caution. I'll try not to give any, but I probably will end up telling you some things. If you haven't seen it, pause here, and then when you have watched it, come back and watch this video. Now, there are 7 which are my favourite characters, and I've kept out the obvious ones. So for me, I did a video about Negan. I love Negan. And I haven't actually used any of the villains because that felt too easy. To do a video around why I hate certain characters or why certain characters are hated in The Walking Dead would just be villains, and it just didn't really seem like it would work. So these are the 7 characters that I like, and I'll be honest, they are obvious ones actually. But there's a reason why I like them. So the first one is Rick Grimes. Now, he is the central protagonist for the majority of the series. He's an absolute legend. The way he exits the series is just amazing. Was not expecting it when I saw it. But also the spin-off that he's in, it just had that same feeling of The Walking Dead, and it was just so good, you know. So we obviously know that he starts as a sheriff, he's very law-abiding, and then he wakes up in the hospital, and he realises that all this chaos has happened and all this stuff has kind of like happened, and we watch him come to terms with all this stuff around his wife, her infidelity, is Judith his or not, all this sort of stuff. And then he, as time goes on, he becomes much more hardened, he's pragmatic, and he's actually a natural leader. He always seems to be a leader in every situation. Even when he turns up to someone else's kingdom, let's use the phrase kingdom, he always ends up being some leader or another. Moving on to Daryl Dixon. Now, I've never shied away from saying Daryl's one of my favourite characters. Even from the beginning, when we saw him, he was a bit rugged and very wild, and he keeps that the whole way through. When he gets dog, he becomes very caring. Towards Judith, he's very caring as well, and he's got this real soft side that you really start to see as it goes through the series. He's very skilled with crossbows and just survival in general, and he's so loyal to a fault, you could say. But there's just something about him that whenever I had scenes to watch with him in, I'd always really enjoy them. Now, I have tried to watch the spin-off, but I tried to watch it just after I finished The Walking Dead and the Rick and Michonne spin-off, so it was a bit too much Walking Dead at that point for me. I needed to take a pause, but I was enjoying what I'd seen so far, so I think I will definitely pick that up again. With just his character growth was so brilliant, and it was so gradual as well. It wasn't written in a way that was, he's this character and now he's someone else. You see it progressing throughout the series, and I just absolutely loved that as his character arc. Next is Michonne. I love Michonne for various reasons. I love the way that she appears with a katana and 2 zombies. That is just so badass. But she is in general. She's just such a badass in general, and I think that's partly why I just love her character so much. She has a traumatic past, and you do get to see that in bits as you go through the series, and I really feel for her. You know, she went through a lot, she was on her own for a long time, and when she turned up at the prison with the baby formula, it was like a peace offering, but it was such a selfless thing to do. It was just such, I think, it was the right way for her to get in with everyone. I think it was just brilliant. The way that she takes on Judith and Carl as her own, when her and Rick get it on, you can't fault her for that. I just think that I think she wanted a family, and partly she genuinely loved those kids, and the fact obviously that again, you know, her and Rick have a kid, it's just really nice. And when she goes and she rescues him, because she doesn't stop looking for him, she has this feeling he's out there, and she does go looking for him, and then she finds him and she brings him home, and I would love to have a bit more like after that. You know, even just a story about Judith growing up would just be amazing. I think it'd be fantastic. Next is Glenn. Now, the reason I've added Glenn in is because his death was one of the most traumatic things I saw in the entire show. I liked him because he was brave and he was loyal, and he also helped Rick when Rick was surrounded by zombies. It helped him get out. His relationship with Maggie was quite sweet. There's that scene where he wants to meet Maggie in the barn, and then he sees all those zombies, and you go, whoa. But he's so innocent in a way, but he's very loyal, like I said. His death, however, was... I can see it now. I can see exactly what happened just before it and when the episode starts again and all that. But that was insane. I think it's the death that you carry with you throughout the series, especially when you see Negan. And you kind of understand that the pain that Maggie's holding on to. I don't know how to explain it, but you don't forget it. There's other people who die, and I can't really remember. There's something else I do remember, but this one is definitely burnt into my mind. This was a scene I knew about and I'd seen prior to actually seeing The Walking Dead. So I did know that he died. I just didn't realise how brutal it was, and how unapologetically brutal it was as well. And yeah, I feel like it's really morbid to be like, I love him for that reason, but I like him because of his bravery, his loyalty, his honesty as well, his desire to do the right thing, and you know, his death scene just being absolutely traumatic and memorable, I guess. Speaking of, we'll go on to Maggie. Now, to begin with, I wasn't a massive fan of Maggie, because, you know, she was holding people in that barn, thinking that she could actually turn them back. But then, the more that she goes through, you know, she loses her father and her sister and everyone, basically, she loves. She almost loses everyone. She definitely becomes a resilient and strategic leader. People look up to her, and I actually really start to like her after that. The fact that even after Glenn, she could have really become a very solitary character who was just in mourning the whole time, but she didn't. She became a woman in her own right, and she became a leader, and she became strong, and I think it's such a nice turnaround for her to be like, no, I'm an independent woman. This isn't gonna be my identity. I'm gonna get through this, and fair play to her. She really, really does. So yeah, I absolutely think that she deserves to be on my list of favourites. The only thing I didn't like was obviously when she had these zombies in the barn. I think this was when Sophia got in, which is Carol's daughter, and that was quite heartbreaking. The fact they couldn't understand. That's kind of when I didn't like her. But that pulls me nicely onto Carol. Carol is a character who, at the beginning, is very meek. She's an abused housewife. As within the first couple of episodes that her husband gets killed, and I didn't really mourn for him. I was just like, cool. Well, that frees her up then. And then the fact that her and Daryl become so close, it's so lovely. They have such a, not a romantic relationship, but it was a friendship. It was a familial relationship. So very much like siblings almost. They had that kind of sibling relationship, and it was a really nice relationship. Again, she has an amazing character growth story. You know, at one point she was in a relationship, and then with her, I think she adopted a couple of boys, and then they passed away, and so she went through a lot. But again, she's so strong as a character that I just wanted to see the best for her. So when she was in sticky situations, I was always a bit worried for her, but either she got out of them or Daryl helped her get out. And I just think it's so cool for her to come from a background of abuse into this strong survivor, and how she was just phenomenal. I don't really know how to explain it, but she just really, coming into her own sounds wrong, but she had her own identity after that, and you know, she spoke her mind, and she became very cunning as well. So yeah, I just think she was just a fantastic character. And the last character, a bit of an odd one, is Shane. Now, partly the reason I like Shane is I like the actor, John Bernthal. I think he's an amazing actor. But I also love his kind of... So he was obviously friends with Rick. He was Rick's partner, and then started sleeping with Rick's wife. And I thought, oh my gosh, I hate you for this. Like, this is your best friend's wife. Like, what are you doing? But they obviously think that Rick's dead and all this sort of stuff. And as you go through, you realise that as the apocalypse was kind of happening, it was Shane that barricaded the door so that they couldn't get in to Andrew Lincoln, into Rick. So you kind of think, oh, okay, like, you know. But again, I think it was Shane's death that made them realise that actually you don't have to be bitten to turn into a zombie. It just happens when you die. But that whole scene, that whole kind of like build up to his death was just amazing. As an actor, he does a very good job of making me not like Shane. And sometimes that's really hard when you like an actor and you think, I'm going to like everything that you do, I'm going to like all your characters, and this character I didn't like, and I just think it was played so well because I just didn't like him. But that is it for my list, guys. There are 7 of the characters that I like the most on The Walking Dead. Let me know if you want me to do this with other franchises, or if you want me to go back to characters that are hated by fans for certain reasons. Do let me know. Let me know if there's any other franchise you want me to look into, any sort of videos you want to see. I'm always open to ideas. And until next time, you take care.